355. The development of love. Presence of God. My God, from all eternity you have gone before me with your infinite love. Increase my love for you. Meditation. 1. What shall prevent God from doing that which he will in the soul, that is resigned, annihilated, and detached? JCS 4:2. This statement of St. John of the Cross makes you understand that God has an immense desire to work in your soul, to lead you to sanctity, and to union with himself, provided you commit yourself into his hands, despoiled of every attachment, annihilated in your self-love, entirely docile, malleable, and adaptable to his action. The Lord comes to your assistance with purifying trials in order to empty you of self, to detach you from creatures, to immerse you in true humility, but at the same time he helps you to grow in love, the strong bond which must unite you to him. All the work which God accomplishes in your soul is done in view of making you advance in this virtue. Exterior and interior trials, humiliations, powerlessness, aridity, struggles, and tempests are meant in the divine plan to extinguish the illusory fires of self-love, pride, earthly affections, and all other irregular passions, so that only one fire may burn within you, ever more intensely and strongly, the fire of charity. The more the Lord purifies you, the more your heart will be freed from all dross, and become capable of concentrating all its affection upon him. Walk, then, in this way by accepting purification in view of a deeper love, and by orientating your whole spiritual life toward the exercise of love. What you suffer, suffer for love, that is, suffer it willingly, without rebellion nor complaint, and then, in the measure that your soul is humbled, despoiled, and mortified, it will also be clothed with charity. The trials which God sends you have the purpose not only of purifying your heart, but also of dilating it in charity. They aim at deepening your capacity for love, not, certainly, a sensible love, but a powerful love of the will, which tends toward God, through pure benevolence, independent of all personal consolation, its sole pursuit being his glory and good pleasure. 2. By means of purifying trials, God secretly teaches the soul, and instructs it in the perfection of love. JCDNI 5:1. Above all, he teaches it to love independently of all happiness and joy, even depriving it of that joy, though legitimate and spontaneous, which proceeds from the consciousness of its own love. The soul that is not yet wholly purified could become attached to this joy, so God withdraws it entirely. In the thick darkness the soul feels that it no longer loves, dry aridity extinguishes all joy and sweetness, and it is constrained to go forward by a pure act of the will. Instead of taking complacency in its own love, which henceforth it no longer feels, the soul is profoundly afflicted by the tormenting doubt that it no longer knows how to love, and to combat this doubt, it can only apply itself with all its might to performing the works of love, that is, embracing generously every labor, every sacrifice, that may please God. In this way, its love matures, becoming purer and stronger, purer, because it is not mixed with any personal consolation, stronger, because it urges the soul to more generous labors. In this state, the soul adheres to God by a simple act of the will, And herein the substance of love consists: it wills good to God solely because He is the supreme, infinitely lovable good. It desires Him alone, and serves Him alone, fulfilling all His divine will, without any return on self, without seeking any joy or spiritual consolation. The soul is no longer preoccupied with enjoying His love, or with receiving. Its one solicitude is to give itself, to give pleasure to God. From this we understand how aridity and darkness, instead of stifling love, make it grow in a wonderful manner, provided the soul is disposed to seek only God's good pleasure, and forget itself completely. Learn to love as God desires to be loved, and lay aside your own temperament. SMI 57. St. John of the Cross tells you, that is, learn to love God by a pure, strong act of the will, without being preoccupied with what is sentiment, consolation, and joy of heart. Perhaps your manner of loving is still a little too dependent upon feeling, so be grateful to God. If He makes you walk in darkness and aridity, it is thus that He will help you deliver yourself from this weakness. Colloquy. O Lord of my soul and my only good, when a soul has resolved to love you, and forsaking everything, does all in its power toward that end, so that it may the better employ itself in your love, why do you not grant it at once the joy of ascending to the possession of this perfect love? But I am wrong. I should have made my complaint by asking why we ourselves have no desire so to ascend, for it is we alone who are at fault in not at once enjoying so great a dignity. If we attain to the perfect possession of this true love of God, it brings all blessings with it. But so niggardly and so slow are we in giving ourselves wholly to God, that we do not prepare ourselves, as we should, to receive that precious love which it is His Majesty's will that we should enjoy only at a great price. There is nothing on earth with which so great a blessing can be purchased, but if we did what we could to obtain it, if we cherished no attachment to earthly things, and if all our cares and all our intercourse were centered in heaven, I believe there is no doubt that this blessing would be given us very speedily, but we think we are giving God everything, whereas what we are really offering Him is the revenue, or the fruits of our land, while keeping the stock and the right of ownership of it in our own hands. A nice way of seeking His love. And then we want it quickly, and in great handfuls, as one might say. O Lord, if you do not give us this treasure all at once, it is because we do not make a full surrender of ourselves. May it please you to give it to us at least little by little, even though the receiving of it may cost us all the trials in the world. No, my God, love does not consist in shedding tears, in enjoying those consolations and that tenderness which for the most part we desire, and in which we find comfort, but in serving you with righteousness, fortitude of soul, and humility. The other seems to me to be receiving rather than giving anything. May it never please your Majesty that a gift so precious as your love be given to people who serve you solely to obtain consolations. T.J. Life 11.